right, welcome to Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 161 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Grace, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie and EJ.
Hello.
Guys.
Today, we're going to be talking about season 9, episode 7 of 911, which is titled Secrets. And this is our first episode back after the break. And of course,
Be back.
as always, we have so much to talk about. So we're just going to get straight into it. It is good to be back.
It is.
Yeah, it
It
is
is
good to be
recording.
back, like, actually talking about the
Mhm,
show.
yeah.
It has felt, like, so long.
I know it.
Even,
It's
like,
like
watching it, I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
good. It's, like, it's been forever.
Right.
Exactly. So we open up with Hen at the clinic getting treatment, and I hope it's so real with you guys. I forgot about the clinic bit of things.
Yeah.
It took until the Hen and Karen scene later for me to place, wait, actually I remember this clip. And then I got mad about it again.
Yeah.
But she's been getting treatment once a week for the past 3 months, and she doesn't know what is wrong with her. And of course, it's like, are you kidding me?
That
haven't gone to a
was my
doctor.
thought when I watched it. I was like, are you kidding me? It's been all this time. She's getting treatment for what, by the way? And she
Yeah.
doesn't know what's
Yeah.
going on with her. Like, that does not make any
I'm like,
sense
you
to me.
don't voluntarily put crap in your body that you have no idea if it's even going to treat what's wrong with you. I mean, seriously, what was she thinking?
Yeah, and like I even put this in a note for a later scene, but I might
Mhm.
honestly just say it now and then obviously add to it when we see that scene. To me, this seems very out of character for Hen. She never seems like the person that whatever, it's fine. She did the Luna scan, whatever, that's fine. I have no problem with that part. But I feel like Hen would follow it up with like another doctor and not just be like, let me just pump all these things into my body, like not knowing whatever. Hen is smart, obviously. She went through like medical school, like some medical school and stuff. So like she's very smart, and the fact that this seems just so like out of character for her, because like what do you mean she's like just doing these random tests? Or I understand there's probably some legitimate thing behind it, but I'm also like, really, Hen? What are you doing?
Here's the thing about like wellness centers and stuff. As someone who grew up only in the homeopathic and wellness sphere rather than actual medicine, they, as much as they may purport themselves to be, they don't treat actual illnesses. They treat the symptoms of illnesses. And
Right.
so, as this doctor can blow smoke out of his ass all he wants, he was never going to come up with an actual answer. And I do understand Hen being scared, but also it does piss me off a little bit that like she literally, as you said, was going through medical school. She is a paramedic. Like she has so many resources at her disposal, and she didn't use them. And it is just a little frustrating. Like I get that she probably was afraid to actually get an answer, because there's something like, I understand the idea of waiting to confirm something, because the longer you can put off learning the answer, the longer you can put off having to face the consequences. But yeah, not loving it, and I don't love anything about it.
Well, and I could see for like, oh yeah, do some blood work. Oh yeah, your vitamin D is low. Okay, so take some extra vitamin D. Like that I kind of understand. And if that was what she was doing, fine. But they didn't talk about what she was doing. And I'm like, for 3 months, once a week, that's 12 weeks of something. And my roommate was like, well, she's doing chemo. And I'm like, no, chemo is specifically for cancer. And it's not chemo.
At first, when we opened up this scene, that's what I thought was going on. And I remembered about, the clinic thing. I was like, are we doing chemo? That seems like a jump. But no.
Yeah. I was honestly thinking like something related to like kidneys and stuff when they opened the scene. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. No, it's
Or like
funny.
dialysis.
Yeah, yeah. And like my thing was, I was just like, so they were throwing around different illnesses, or like I think Hen was looking into some things like in the last episode we saw, and I'm just like, I would have been fine if they were throwing around things and then they came to something, that's fine. But I'm just like, I'm more concerned of where they're going and why they're going here with us not knowing anything.
Yeah. So opening on an interesting note. And then we get into the first call,
Oh God.
which was a choice.
That's one word for it.
And it
Yeah,
does
I didn't know how
make,
to feel about this.
I had many mixed feelings. It does make, I heard a quote about a chastity belt out of context before watching this episode. And I was like, you mean? It makes a lot more sense now. So this was at like a sales meeting or something, and the team lead is yelling at people, and he winds up falling over and asking for help. And before then, he had made like an odd comment about squeezing. Like you could tell he was in pain.
Yeah.
And so when assessing him, Eddie says he seems hard.
Because he was grabbing his.
He was.
Yeah.
That's what
And
the
At
guy
first I
being
thought-
like her
I
face.
thought originally we were going with the cock ring got
Mm,
stuck angle of things, which would also explain the squeezing, like if there was
Mhm.
swelling. That's where I thought we were going with this.
and Buck would have great comments about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
would
I
be.
know.
Y'all also,
Just
guys,
whips
I
a
was
ring
like,
cutter out from
wow,
nowhere,
this
like,
is-
hey!
yeah,
I mean, he
It's
keeps one
like-
in his kitchen. So.
yeah. I was like, man, this is like
Responsible?
some interesting call to be having at an 8 p.m. episode. We've apparently I guess lowered the time of when we can do certain scenes. Or make
Yeah.
certain jokes, apparently. I mean,
Well,
I'm not
so we
mad
come
about
to
it.
no, but it is interesting. Well, so we come to find out that he is wearing a chastity belt, and I've never actually seen a chastity belt before. I've seen the cages. I've never seen the belts, and so I was like, it just looks like a medieval torture device.
It's basically what it was. And honestly, they were not,
Yeah.
whoever he was doing that with was not practicing safe and sane, because that would, like, yeah. Mm-mm.
No,
Nope.
no. So of course it's cutting off his circulation, and
Like, it's
They come to find out-
cutting into his skin, too. Like,
it is like the
That was
it
so
looks
gnarly to look
nasty.
at. It was nasty.
that's why I'm
It
like,
was-
they were not, whoever, him and that chick were not, like, practicing safe and sane doing that. That was just,
yeah,
No.
she
And what's funny is it's one of the people on his team that was his dom. And I'm like, oh, that makes her comment of earlier talking about like just rolling with the punches.
yeah,
Like,
it kind of makes sense because
sense.
it seemed like all these people work under this company, but like in different
Mhm.
locations across the US, and I'm sure they have like meetings like every
right.
month or something at like
Mhm.
in LA. So like that kind of makes sense with that dynamic, but it was very interesting to see this unveiled at this point in the scene.
And it's interesting. This woman just is like, yeah, I'm his dom. So she made him swallow the key, and I don't know where she thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah, that was like quite literally the dumbest idea. Like, are
Yeah.
you stupid? And like, just my brain, I don't know if anybody else's brain works like this because in my head, I'm going back to the 50 Shades of Grace episode in Lone Star.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about that till I read the notes, and I was like, wait, actually, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I'm just making all the connections lately. I feel like every time it doesn't matter if we're watching Nashville or if we're watching like 911, I'm like connecting so many things lately.
Respect, because I'm really good about drawing like comparisons and in between like the same show. Sometimes like connecting stuff back to like one of the other shows, not so much. So you're pulling a lot on that. But yeah, so they basically have to saw it off, and this woman is commanding the guy to obey and staying still. And was anyone else just remarkably uncomfortable?
Oh,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
couldn't even
And also,
rewatch
was
this
anyone
scene,
else-
to be honest with you guys. Like,
Was anyone else
literally-
just going, get everyone else out of the room or put something over him?
Oh my God.
This
And that,
is
like, the employees that were like, they had their cameras up, like filming it. And I was
that
like,
is just like
oh my
First of all,
God.
get law enforcement in here, get them to crowd control. Okay, like we can't stop anyone from filming, but we can crowd control and also put him under something. So it's not like you're not trying to humiliate the people. Sorry, this EMTME is coming out. I was not thrilled about the privacy thing.
Yeah.
They
This
should
was
have.
done surely for drama, and I
Mhm.
don't like it. Um,
Yeah, like surely they wanted the woman to be in the room because of obviously all that. But like after that point, they should have had everyone get out of the room. They should have pulled the blinds because the blinds were up. It wasn't until like
mhm.
after they got the chastity belt off that Chim was like, please somebody put something over him.
And
Yeah.
like, and he was exposed for like a minute or so, like while they were fumbling something over him. And it's like,
Yeah,
no.
there was definitely some things. And then like, like Buck, it just seemed very odd that he'd never heard of or seen one of those things. And then like the way they had him kneeling in between the guy's legs, like could that have been any more stupid? Like I know they were doing it for dramatic effects, but and then
I just hate when it's obvious that they're doing something for dramatic effect when something is so clearly like you could have done pretty much the same thing while doing it smartly. And that's what bothered me about this scene because I usually feel like 911 is pretty okay about it, like keeping drama in while not doing expressly stupid stuff. This scene I was not for that.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
it's fine, but also was so glad to be out of it. Yeah, so then we go back to the firehouse, and we're having a chat between Buck, Eddie, and Ravi. And
love those three.
and Eddie is saying how two weirdos finding each other is inspiring, he guesses. And Buck is like, of course you relate. And Eddie's like, how so? And Buck's like, you have a chest you felt of your own. And Eddie misunderstanding what the hell. He was like, I'm wearing tidy whities. And then Ravi off at 30 is like, I think you're more of a boxer brief guy.
Oh, it was like the
Uh,
way that was all said, and I'm just like, well, that really just paints an image for you. I mean, not complaining, I'm just saying.
it's an image.
No, it is.
And Buck is saying that it's his mind, and that Eddie hasn't looked at a woman in a year, and he's like, neither have you. And Buck says, definitely not true, and not my point. And Eddie says that he's focused on Chris, and Buck says he's using him as a chastity belt. And Eddie's like, please don't put those two together.
I was like, Buck, please stop talking. Like, I get what you're
Yeah.
trying to get.
No,
You're not wrong,
but
but don't say it like that.
yeah.
it just sounds wrong.
Please
I get
don't
what he's
say
saying.
that way about a child. And so Buck's trying to go wingman, and Ravi is on the side. And can I just say, this very particular dynamic of Buck and Ravi teaming up against Eddie, I need more of it. Encore, second and third helpings, please. There was just something about it that was delicious. I loved
Yes, I love them all together.
Yeah.
It was like
The
Buck
Three
and Ravi.
Musketeers.
Yeah, literally.
So then we go back to Pen, and she's just getting home, and she walks in the door, and Karen is asking what Luna is, and saying it's all over their credit card bill. And I just want to be like, yeah, is brain fog a symptom that she's experiencing? Because, like, how did you not think that was gonna show up and Karen wasn't gonna notice that?
Right, because she acted like she was gonna pay cash or something for like the Luna
Yeah.
stuff, and I was just like, maybe she did it first, like wrote a check or something. But she definitely got messy along the way if this
Yeah.
is obviously now all over their credit card. Well, it's just like these things obviously add up, especially if you're not
Right.
going through, well, 'cause it's not insurance covered.
Yeah. And also, like, even if she had been making like cash payments and checks, Karen would have eventually started to notice the withdrawals as well.
Right,
Like,
true,
Yeah.
true.
eventually it was going to come through, but like the fact that it's going through on the credit card statement and just like laid out without any sort of digging other than like looking back at past statements, it's like you're not really good at this whole life thing. So Karen also finds like a lot of pill bottles, and she just holds up a bag of them, and I'm like,
That was concerning.
Yeah.
That there was that many.
This is why in class they talk to us about how to address people's medications and also how to deal with those bags of pill bottles people will whip out when you're like, what medication are you taking? Oh, these.
Right.
Yeah. And also how you deal with what medicines you took. Anyway, I was like, that's prime example. Got it. And Hen says to Karen, oh, sorry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, yeah, Hen, I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, first off, if you're trying to keep this under wraps because you don't want people to know, and you're collecting pills like Pokemon
Bro,
cards.
keep them in your car or something. Like, that's not temperature controlled. It's not safe. But still, like,
yeah, I don't know. It just,
or maybe, wild thought, Hen, don't keep it a fucking secret.
I know. And I think that's what it boils down to. Because I'm like, I can understand a couple of weeks being like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And then finally coming clean to at least her wife. Like, come on, it's somebody she's been with for 10, 12 years. Don't just not say anything. And
gosh, by this point, with how old Denny is, like, it's probably like 15 years by this point.
Probably.
Like,
and I'm like, and I get it, like you don't want to scare somebody unless they have a need to be scared. But I would rather know something was going on, even if I didn't know what exactly it was.
And also, like, let's be real in this situation. And again, I say this with love for Hen, it is more for her than it is for, like, it's much more her thinking about herself than it is thinking about Karen or her friends. And I'm not even faulting her for it because I understand, but also, yeah, there's only so much you can pass it off as you actually being concerned because ultimately, if you cared about someone, you would tell them what's going on. Again, at least your wife, because your wife and your boss. Not everyone else is entitled to your medical information, but those two need to be informed. And then there's Hen getting upset at Karen of going through you went through my stuff. And Karen's like, you haven't made yourself a month. And so,
and also like when she's your wife and you live together and like it's not hard. Like if
mi casa es su casa.
Yeah, like it's not like it's so easy to like come across stuff, and it's like if you're not hiding it, yeah, she's gonna find it.
Also, like my guess is either she was like cleaning and stumbled across the bottles and started doing some digging, or she took a look at the credit card statement and then started doing some snooping.
Which
I think one probably just led to the other.
Right.
Yeah, don't know which one led to the other, but something led to the other. In fact, unless Karen was just sitting there waiting for her to come home, which also is possible. My guess is she found the pill bottles first and then was going through the computer as Hank came in. That's my guess. It doesn't matter. But still, it's like, okay. So Hen explains about her symptoms and that she doesn't know why, and she hasn't gone to another doctor, and Karen asks if she's told Tim, and Hen says no. And Karen says if she doesn't tell him, she will. And yeah, again, just so weird.
Very weird. Like, I don't even know what to even say about it. But just even the fact that, like, I could understand wanting to, like, figure things out, but, like, could definitely be, like, talking to her primary care because she's like, well, I don't know what we're treating for yet. So, like, I don't really know. Like, I can't see a specialist. And it's like, well, you could start with a different doctor.
Or just going to a doctor.
Exactly.
Like, has she gone to her primary care at all?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, she said, well, that guy's an MD. Okay. So anyone can go to medical school if they score high enough, and anyone can go through residency if they're picked. But at the end of the day, are they actually a real doctor? Or are they, and I'm like, he could have gone to medical school, but not done his residency, not learned anything. Or, some doctors could have gotten C's and D's in some of their classes.
Yeah, because
trust me,
I went to some pretty stupid doctors. Like I went to this doctor once. He was a PA. He didn't know what scoliosis was, and I'm like, what?
What?
I mean, dead serious. Don't know. So like, yes, there are definitely bad ones out there in whatever field in the medical. So
trust me, there have been some people I've been in class with just even as an EMT who I'm like, if I fall over, don't let them come to police. I'm good. Just let me die. Now, all very good points. And also, I do feel like, and I don't know that they'll bring this up at all, but they brought it up before when Tony was having medical problems, is that like they could have also had a storyline which would still be an extremely valid conversation to be having, especially right now, where Hen did go to her primary care or did go to the hospital or did try another doctor, and people refused to listen to her from a race basis and a gender basis. Black women are still so ignored and passed over in medical field and they're not listened to for so many different reasons. They could have had such an interesting conversation. I think that's what gets me, is that they chose the drama route, which
Right.
I know it's a drama show, but they could have still had drama while also having an important discussion about the inequity in medical field and medical treatment among Black women.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I finally actually nailed what's actually bothering me about this, because it's multiple things, but I think that's bothering me.
Yeah, no, I think that you hit it on the head right there. I think that's what frustrates me. That, well, I mean, I have several things that I'm mad about, like, but this is for someone who's been portrayed for a long time on this show as being a very smart, and not just smart, but intelligent, knows her role person is Hen. And to make her out to be somebody who feels like she's the only person that can diagnose herself, that's not how it works in the medical world. Like, you may be the top neurologist or neurosurgeon in the world, but you still have your own primary doctor for when you get the flu and a cold and you have, diabetes. Like, you still have your own doctors. And the fact that she's practicing medicine on herself is basically what she's doing. And I'm like, that's just wrong. And
she's using the clinic as a hand, essentially, like a hand that's not her own, to do
to be as much in secret as she can. And I get it. She has to be careful because she doesn't want anybody to know, because she doesn't want it to be a big deal. And we'll see how that ends up at the end of the episode.
Right. Also, it remains a mystery of, like, again, about her level-headedness and about, like, what a solid, strong character she is, that she also, out of all the places she could have gone, chose a place where a woman died, in part due to negligence.
It's I still, like, going back there.
No. Like, I know, and here's a thing, and this is also a thing about these wellness centers and wellness trends and the wellness community, is that they get in your head and they just manage, like, they'll get in on an insecurity. That's how they get so many people. It's just like targeting the right insecurity. So I know, Hen was scared. Hannah was confused about what was happening. So I know she just saw this as an option, but I still don't know what possessed her. Like,
yeah, and the whole,
it's
like,
just
we
wild.
don't know storyline. I feel like that was more so ploy because the writers are like, well, we don't know what we want to do with this, so we're just gonna say, oh, we don't know what's wrong with her, it's so we can figure that out. Wouldn't surprise me if that is actually it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I do think this is falling victim to the they don't think things out, like, which has affected no one a fair amount over the years. Moving on, we have the boys out in the club. Three Musketeers, with Buck in particular being Eddie's wingman. And this is so not Eddie's scene.
It's not Maverick and Goose.
No. And Buck goes to get a girl interested in Eddie, and he winds up getting her number.
Right.
And Buck also meets a guy in line.
And I'm cheering on because it's Dean Geyer, because I've been a fan of his since he was in Terra Nova in 2011, 12, something like that. But yeah.
So here's the thing, is that I didn't like him from the second he was in the line. And do you guys want to know why?
Why?
Because he looks like Doug.
I get that vibe.
He looked like Doug. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. That is like, I don't know this guy at all, like the actor. I don't know him one bit. So for a second, I thought we were seeing Doug. I was like, are we going Mindfuck episode or what? And I was like, oh, wait, no. That's not, I don't remember his name, but that's not the guy who played that. Jennifer Love Hewitt's husband. That's not it. But no, I was immediately off the bat, on top of the fact that I already knew where the storyline was going because I was spoiled for it. I was like, no. But with the caveat of, I do love that we are continuing to show that he still has interest in men and women. Like, we're not falling off of the bisexual wagon, so to speak. I would love it if they could just, pick up their big boy pants and say the word bisexual. That'd be great.
I'm really surprised with them. It's now the 9th season. It's been 2 full seasons, and we've yet to get him confirming that. What is
Well,
with
I
them?
feel like it was because they really didn't say that Buck was bisexual. Like in every interview that I've read, it was like they kind of just left it up there. Oliver was the one that kind of canoned Buck as bisexual and said, "Oh, he's for sure bisexual."
But that's like the thing is that they just refuse to commit to it. And
Mhm.
but not even in the like they hadn't been in a relationship with Tommy and then they never show he's interested in a guy again.
Mhm.
It's not even that. It's just that they refuse to say the word. But that's also
Mhm.
like it's a little don't say gay.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how many? I mean, do we? I could understand if they were hesitant because they want to pursue Buck being maybe not just bisexual, and I'm not saying like just
Yeah.
bisexual, but like maybe
But
he's
like
pan
another
or
term.
yeah, another
Yeah.
term, and they're like they don't want to label it right
Hell,
now because they
if
don't
we
want
had
to.
omni representation, I would cry in happiness.
Right.
Just saying.
So,
Like,
yeah, so I feel like I think at this point it's safe to label it. I don't care how we
Right.
label it. Please label it because I feel like the representation needs to be there for whichever label they choose to give him so that community can be represented.
And I mean, there was like a scene in the past where like Buck had like kind of clarified that I don't know if he necessarily used the term bisexual. He might have just said, I like men and women, not necessarily in
yeah.
those words, but it was kind of
Mm-hmm.
cleared up. But I feel like
I feel
at
like
this point,
it was in a
they,
conversation with Maddie.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I
what I
think
was
It feels like that
thinking.
was Maddie's conversation.
But I feel like at this point they need to just like say it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
pretty much the whole fandom canons him as that Oliver himself, which that's where I take most of like if Oliver says that Buck is bisexual, I'm like, okay, that's it.
It's his
That's all I need to
character.
hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did just want to say that because like I'd love if they're leading up to a deeper discussion of sexuality and labels and gender and sexual fluidity. However,
We
I
know the
don't think
writers of
it's
the
that
show.
deep. Yeah, I don't think they're deep enough for that. And
Yeah.
that is with all the love for the silly little Weeaboo show, they're not deep enough for that. So yeah. Just wanted to mention that. But I do love that they're showing it. Hell
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Even as I have things to say about what happens later on. So Buck comes back and like I get the impression it's been a while, but Eddie and Robbie think we're buying, and Buck's like, Zane did. And Robbie says, he's unstoppable. And then he says that's Buck. True. I
That's
will
very
also
true.
say, I just want to say that there is a part in this scene where they're arguing over how like this is like more Buck's type or like this is more his scene. And he's like, you're single too. And he was like, yes, single by choice. And then Ravi says, Tommy's choice. Guys, I laughed so loud, my ears popped. My ears have been clogged for days since I was sick. My ears literally both popped at the same time because I shouted in laughter so hard.
Y'all, I don't know how I missed that. I need to go back and watch
Not,
that
Oh yeah, it was
again.
kind of like
not
I
Robbie
heard
clocking Buck's shit.
Well,
right. I was like, yeah, I
um,
loved that line. I was like, Tommy's
that
choice.
is
You need to go back and
so
rewatch that scene.
funny though, because it was honestly like Robbie's fault that like Buck and Tommy like rekindled at that time.
It's
Because
true.
like Robbie was like, oh Tom, look who I found. It literally brought Tommy to the table. And it
Look who
was
I
just
found, and
like,
then see ya.
see ya. It was like, bye.
And he just left. Yeah.
He did
Robbie, if you
so
want to do it
fast.
again, that'd be great. Just speaking from personal preference. But yeah, it is really funny coming from Robbie though. Boy, what do you fuck? I love Robbie. I'm so glad we're getting more of him.
Yeah,
For sure.
and I like that they're like, because I remember at the beginning of the season, it was very like Buck was almost jealous of Hen and Eddie working together. He had a new partner,
Mhm.
at work, and so now it's seeing the three of them together. I'm like, okay, Buck, see, like y'all can play nice together,
You can share toys.
right? And I think somebody was talking to me recently, and I don't remember exactly how the conversation came up, but they're like, well, why don't you do this, that, and the other? I'm like, when in my 42 years of life have you ever seen me do this? I'm like, why would you think I enjoy that? And so, like, I feel there's definitely like an uncomfortable vibe I'm getting from Eddie because a club is not his scene. And then I think Ravi had asked him, like, why are you so bad at this? I'm like, hello, Eddie married his high school sweetheart when he knocked her up and joined the military and then came to the 118, tried to get back with his ex. That didn't work. And every woman since then, he's tried to replace his ex-wife or give Chris a mom. I'm like, he doesn't know how to do this. But I also don't think that a club is his scene either.
That's
Yeah,
relatable
no.
because that's definitely not my scene either.
No.
I've never been to a club, and I go for shits and giggles like once.
Yeah.
But honestly, even loud bars are too much for my
Yeah.
audio processing now.
Same. I never really I liked the idea of going out and I liked like hanging out with people, but there was like one place that I remember going to. I think we only went once and I only went because it was like around one of my friend at time's birthdays, but it was literally not my scene. I didn't like it. It was too loud. It was like too much. And I was just like, I'm never going here again. Like,
Yeah.
happy birthday, but never happening again.
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
my
no, I'm the
scene
same
now.
way. And I'm like, so I'm like, is the reason why Eddie's uncomfortable because this isn't his scene? Or I don't know. Like, it's like, guys, read the room a little bit. Because it definitely seems like Buck's scene. And my fear and what I don't want to see is Buck 1.0 version 2.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't be happy with him exploring and proving that he is bisexual, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I think Buck has grown a lot too since Buck 1.0 days. We don't need a repeat of that.
For sure.
No, we don't. So it is fun to be able to see him like no matter what, like I feel like no matter what your ship is and the fandom, or even if you have a ship, I feel like it is fun to be able to see Buck actually exploring dating, because it feels like it's been a while since we've had a just casual non-work slash accident call related dating sequence of sorts. I would love if we could get some non this narrative. If we're continuing with that, but it is good to see him, putting himself back out as an older, more mature, more refined version of himself. It's good to see. I will say.
On the other hand, I will say this: just get Buck and Eddie together, and we'd be done with it. I'm sorry, I know. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Bring the pilot back, crash that copter, get some drama. That's like,
I would almost rather have that. I miss Rocker. There's no SWAT on anymore.
Just bring me some Lou somewhere. Do Miss Lou. I
keep looking at things like, maybe is he in something? What's he doing now?
Yeah. We'll see. And with these writers, who the hell knows?
Yeah. I am. The puppy interview was adorable, but yes.
Moving on to the next scene. So we finally get Hen and Athena talking. And Hen is just saying how that the longer she waited, the harder it got, which is absolutely true of just about anything. Because once you can talk yourself out of it, you can continue talking yourself out of it. And in the middle of things, Harry comes home. And he's just like a zombie. And he goes, "Oh, must be EMT week." And I'm like,
yeah, he was totally out of it.
He was talking about rhythm checks, and I was like, "Yep, welcome to EMT."
I am enjoying that they're actually like moving this forward and like showing him, and not just he's a firefighter now.
The pace of it. Yeah, I like the pace of it. I like how we're not like just jumping to him like joining the firehouse. Like they're taking their time with it, which is what it was one of my concerns. Is I was wondering how paced it was gonna be, and if we were gonna come back and he was just gonna be there, and I was gonna be like, what? But
I remember us talking about this. Yeah. No, it's good to see. And I hope they continue bringing up like little bits like this. We don't have to see much. I just like the little check-in on that. So Hen is talking about how she just doesn't want it to be the end of her story. And Athena says it doesn't have to be, that maybe it's the start of a new chapter for her. And, it's good to see her finally talking to Athena, because, without talking to Chimney, who obviously is her best friend, but also her captain, she needed someone to before doing the hard thing about talking to Chimney.
I think I just struggle. Well, I mean, so with one of her best friends being Chim, he would have a hard time separating boss from friend now, and
which we see.
But I don't know if we touched on it at the beginning in the first call, of the episode, but was her hand shaking during that call? I couldn't remember if it was or if it was just during the other one we'll talk about here shortly.
I don't
I
think
don't think
so.
it came up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they really addressed it. I mean, I don't even feel like in the other parts of the episode, I don't really feel like I feel like the promos emphasized it more than the actual episode did, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious, but I was gonna say, like, I feel like she's showing symptoms, and even my roommate had asked me, she's like, well, what does it matter if she's got this problem? And I'm like, because the signs and symptoms that she's showing, no matter what the cause of it is a detriment to her and the public and her team.
Right. It's like especially of like the shaking hands. Like I
Mm-hmm.
followed this nurse who she was like a pediatric ICU nurse, and she had like the shaking hands, and she had to take medication for it, and then she was fine and she could work, but she also wanted to start a family, and she couldn't be on that medication while pregnant, so she basically had
Mm.
to like put nursing on hold until
Mm-hmm.
after she was done having kids, because you can't have a family and be on this medication at the same time. So that kind of reminds me like of that in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like whatever, she also doesn't know what's going on, so in my mind I'm just like, well, like this could go bad on a call, like who knows what could
Right.
happen. I think
That's been my
that's the
concern
main
too.
concern, especially I think that's what Karen was getting at too.
I love how Karen threatened her. She's like, if you don't tell Jim, I will. Like, oh,
I was
life's
like,
getting.
good for
Mm.
her, good for her.
Yeah.
Because it's not like she knows Jim, like she knew Jim before he even had knew Jim. So
Right.
like it's not like it's like some random person. Like it's warranted at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So then we go to the first date picnic. So this started really sweet. I didn't even mind the murder joke, but I actually kind of thought it was funny.
Mm.
I'd be thinking the
But
same thing.
I mean, I absolutely, yeah. And maybe if I was in that situation, him being like, "Well, I don't murder on the first date," wouldn't be quite as funny. Watching it from a TV screen, though, I actually thought that it was kind of fun. Then she starts getting stomach cramps. That are like really excruciating, and I'm like, she like just ate something. It's not even hit her digestive system
Yeah,
yet. This is
no,
not
like
what that is.
not food poisoning for sure.
It's not food poisoning. It doesn't set in quite that fast. And so he calls 911, and Maddie is like telling her to check her appendix, and the pain goes away. And Maddie realizes it's intermittent. So it comes to find out she didn't know she was pregnant, and she is currently giving birth.
Yeah, and she had
Uh,
mentioned to the guy it's been like 8 months, and I was like, and then when she started having the thing, I was like, is she pregnant? And they're hiding. She doesn't know.
Guys, you
I
know what
didn't
I was
even
thinking when we first started the call, but like I didn't put much thought to it. So
Mm.
this whole setup of the scene reminded me of when people do those like gender reveal videos where they take like the wine
wait. You're
glasses and the
right.
cake and then they put it down. So like in my mind, that's what the picnic reminded me of, but I didn't really think about it much. I was just like, oh, whatever, it's a picnic. But like in my mind, like I've seen so many of those videos, so I was thinking of that. And then so like I generally was like oh, when it was like it's like, oh, she's pregnant, and I'm like, yep, there is like a whole TLC show about this, or at least there
Mm-hmm.
was. So that's it was more so funny, but I was just like, why? That's just where my brain went, I guess.
Oh, for sure. In 911 fashion, it doesn't end there. The baby was breech, so Eddie had to turn it, and so it basically ends sweet. She has a baby boy, and also the guy isn't chased off.
Which is awesome on his part.
Yeah,
Honest,
'cause
kudos to him. He kept it
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
together.
It was like also it was like sweet that like she was in the ambulance or whatever, and he was like, "Should I come with you?" And she's like, "Well, we just met, and you've already done enough." And but like he was like, "Oh, but I want to, like I don't want this date to end." And I thought that was very sweet, and who knows where that will end for them.
Yeah. And this
Mm-hmm.
is another one of those scenes where I did see hands shaking. So she's had Eddie do the movement of because the baby was breached. So she kind of had he had to maneuver the baby around, which I was like, it was cool that Eddie got to deliver the baby, but also another thing with Hen of passing off her duties to somebody else because she's got something going on and she's not communicating about it.
Yeah.
Did like, and I like the guy like getting in the ambulance and going with her, and he's like, "This is the best date I've had in a long." I was like, oh, "Okay."
Cool,
I
dude.
was like,
Cool.
oh, that's actually, you know
That
what?
was so
Cute.
sweet.
Yeah. I was like, actually, that's not too bad. Then we have Buck going on a date with the woman from the night out. And it was fine, I guess. Like, I know, Katie, you said like she really gave you the ick.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
sure.
she was just like talking and she sounded like I'm not trying to be like this, but she sounded so like ditzy and stupid and she kept like ordering for like him, which it's like whatever, but it's also like I don't know, she just seemed like she wanted to be in control, but she also just sounded like I don't know, she just sounded like she was trying to be stupid. I don't know that makes sense. And it's just like, I don't know. I could not even think straight in this scene watching her because I was just like, I don't like you.
She seemed very pushy to me.
Yeah.
I didn't really like, I don't know, I didn't really give a fuck about either of these two. Again, I knew the spoilers, I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So I really don't know how I would have felt like if I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. They
but
were
I was
very
just kind of there
much,
like, yeah.
they
But
were
so we're
very
going back
much
and
plot
forth.
devices. Like I was not
Yeah.
thinking that they were going to be in more than this episode anyways. I was just like, oh, they're clearly here for part of the story. And then it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Well, we're going like this scene is going back and forth between the date with the guy and with the girl. I didn't give a crap about the girl. Obviously, I didn't like the guy already because he only reminded me of Doug, and yeah, I did not like him. But it was like it was interesting because you could like they had very similar, like they were both ordering 4 buck. They were both also ordering some of the same things. They were both saying some of the same lines. Like it was very interesting having them back to back, and then they both end in him them all sleeping together. Not all 3 of them, but both of them ends up at his place. And yeah, obviously dates are at different times, but it's like, okay, bye, hit it. Hey, good for you. Um,
Yeah, I was like, go Buck, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the date portion, I was just like, I am not interested in this at all. How did this go from like we're trying to get Eddie a date to Buck? I guess that's in true Night One
To
fashion,
buck
but
on
even
2 dates.
so,
yeah, that sounds about right, GBH. So next up, we have Buck telling Ravi and Eddie about his night, and he was saying that it was good with both of them. And then, with more digging, they find out that these two are actually siblings, so they suspect. And it's like, I don't know. I felt bad for Buck in this instance because it was like, sure, probably he could have dug a little deeper on their social media, but like, I don't. It's not his fault. I felt a little bad for him. But obviously he's like, oh, I know what I have to do. Like I have to break it off because
Mm-hmm.
he's not getting in the midst of all that.
Yeah, because he didn't know what the situation was, and
No. And then we have Hen asking if she can talk to Chim. And Chim says, yeah, just let me finish the sentence. And he's venting about like all his work. Um, and of course, Hen gets it. And she is trying to tell Chim what is going on. And I was glad that we did get this scene because I also like, apparently, I got like the major spoilers of this episode because I had a spoiler on what happens later as well. And I was like, did you not at all? No. She tried. And of course, he jinxes it. He says, come on, sit down. It's not going to get quieter than this.
I'm like, he said the
And
keyword. What?
yeah,
and
I
then the
was
tones
like,
go off.
I mean,
And he's
at
like,
least he's grown enough to acknowledge that, like, he's
he's like,
like,
that's on me for jinxing
yeah,
it.
exactly. I was watching another show earlier, and it was like somebody was like they were looking at a board of basically like all the patients they had. It's like, oh, it looks like a quiet day for me, and they were like saying, oh, this is normally when we get a rush from all the nursing homes because when they do their morning bed checks, and the guy goes, oh, it looks quiet. And I literally said, my mom and I were watching this, and I literally go, you never say the Q word.
Right?
It was such a, like, I've seen so many shows, like emergency medical shows at this point where I'm like, every time that comes up, I'm just yelling at the TV over it.
Some people yell at sports teams. We yell at emergency dramas.
Which is
To
funny
not
because
say
my
the Q.
dad's watching a football game right now, and I just hear, yes!
Yeah. So, you know what? At least Jim acknowledges that he jinxed it. And this is a fire call. And it was at an abandoned structure, but people are squatting there. On the sixth floor, predictably. And like it is bad. Lower levels are engulfed.
Mhm.
People are they're trying to jump out the windows. They don't really have anywhere else to go. This guy gets blown out of a window. Like it's not good. And Hen and Buck, I believe Ravi as well, goes in to evacuate. And Buck gets a mom to evacuate while Hen looks for her daughter, her 7-year-old daughter who she eventually gets. But like she's struggling. Once Buck leaves, like she's really struggling. Her vision's going in and out. She's dizzy, her hands are shaking, like she's really struggling. And for a little bit I was like, oh my god, is she gonna collapse before she gets this little girl? Because this is gonna make things a million times worse.
Right.
For what I know is coming. And Buck tells Chim that Hen's still in there, and Chim radios to Hen, and Hen is saying that, she's got the kid, she's close, and Chim tells her to get out ASAP. And we wind up hearing nothing from her for a little while, and Chim's asking if she copies. Chim tells Buck and Ravi to go on up, but like when Buck asks, but Hen makes it out with the girl, and like kind of the moment she takes off her helmet, she collapses. Not good. So then right from there we go on to the hospital. Chim is on the phone with Eddie at the hospital. He's saying that her vitals are good, but they don't know why she collapsed. Karen walks in and Chim says to hand things off to B team, so he's having Eddie do the transfer. Chim talks to Karen and he tells her that she was in a structure fire and they thought it originally was smoke inhalation, but that it doesn't make sense at this point. And Karen is being like, why was she in there? Like, why was she at the call? And Chim's like, it's her job. Um, and Karen realizes she didn't tell Chim, and Chim's like, "Tell me what?" So if it had just been 5 minutes before those tones went off earlier, this would be so different.
That's 9-1 for you.
So then we have in the locker room, we have the Three Musketeers. I'm just gonna be using that to refer to them from now on because it's pretty.
They're like the three rascals, three musketeers.
This is the three of them, the
Three
trio.
Scrooges, Three
Yeah.
Stooges,
Stooges, yeah.
Three Stooges, yeah. Regardless, it fits.
Love it.
So Ravi asks Eddie if he's going to go back to the hospital, and Eddie says he'll never turn down a cafeteria meatloaf. Yes, mystery meat. And Buck's like, oh God. And it's both of the people he slept with showing up at the firehouse. And I'm just like, well, people stop showing up to people's places of
Yes,
work.
I hate
literally.
that.
I like it's just like if this is like the most like just inappropriate way to show up at the firehouse
Mhm.
at his place of work. Like never should you show up at the person you're seeing or whatever's like place of employment. Like and let's meet somewhere else because this is just like we need to make this stop.
Buck's like it's them, and he tried to break it over text, as he says, like he sent a classy text. And it was oh fuck, I hated this. They wanted to talk, just not over the phone. And Buck's still thinking they're siblings, and they're like, you know, we are married. I guess that's better. Um, but still, essentially, they are, and I quote, ethically non-monogamous. That they didn't say polyamorous, which I think is a distinct difference.
Mhm.
Um, they're essentially just looking for a third. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You get back to the dating apps and try and reel everyone else in with photos and very vague answers like everyone else. Don't.
Yeah, it was very icky and like the scene I was just like and like They like had to show it because he apparently sent a text. Okay, it's not like you were dating for like a long time.
Right.
You went on one date, you hooked up. Like, I think a text is fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we didn't want to do this over text. Well,
meet at a coffee shop. I don't know what to tell you. This was so inappropriate.
And they were like, well, now you can be our third now that you know we're together and it's
well, and
fine.
that none of what they did was ethical, if you want to be
No.
ethical about it.
Yeah, like
They weren't upfront with him. They were both picking him up at the club to see what he
And
would do.
originally, yeah, they were both trying it to see who would he go for, and he went for both of them. So I think they were like, oh my God, he's perfect for us. So no, fuck that. Buck is like, it's mature. I will give him so much credit in this situation. And he breaks off and he's like, he's still figuring out how to be a half. I'm like, yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
thank God.
And at times still
Nothing
also working on
against
how to be
it
a
or
whole.
anything, but just
No, but
like
again, like
the whole
this is not polyamory.
right, exactly.
And I know people who are polyamorous. I think that I think it's perfectly fine. However, literally what I just said is ethical non-monogamy is not the same as polyamory. Because ethical non-monogamy, I say in so many quotation marks, is this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, no, no.
yeah.
Do what you want, but be responsible about it. Be actually ethical about it.
The way I felt is it seemed like they just wanted a plaything.
That's exactly what it was like.
It
Because
seemed
also,
like they yeah,
at this,
because
their eyes also started turning to Ravi and Eddie, and they were like, huh, "No." And
they bolted so fast, which
I
I
know
was
they
like,
both.
yes.
I was like,
Because
good boys,
mm,
but
Rabia was like, oh, she's hot. And then it was just like, nope, we're not going to be your third either.
yeah, they're like, "No, we're not messing with that." Anyway, kudos to Buck, but also, I'm so sorry. Then we have the final scene of the episode. Which is Hen waking up in the hospital, and Karen's there, and Hen's like, we have to talk. And Karen's like, yep, we will, but she should talk to someone else first. Chim sits with her and asks how she feels, and Hen says she's mostly tired. Chim says that Karen told him this has been going on for months, and she's like, sorry, she was going to tell him. She was afraid if she told the people she loved, it'd make it real. And Chim says it's real now. 2 dozen people saw her go down at the scene of the fire. The entire LAFD command is lighting up Chim's phone and says, she's sorry, she didn't mean to get him in trouble. And Chim says that's not what this is about. She collapsed outside the fire. What would happen if she collapsed inside with a kid? And Hannah's, she keeps apologizing. And Chim says, that he's sorry too. And she asks what he's sorry for, and Chim says that he can't have someone who puts her coworkers and public's lives at risk. Chim says he doesn't believe she would have done this if Bobby was still here in the captain's chair, and Hen says, that's not fair. And Chim says it's not. And he says she doesn't trust him, and he needs to be able to trust her, and if it were anyone else, he would have to let them go. And Hen asks why is she different, and Chim's like, you're right. And he lets her go and tells her she is done at the 118.
So this was a tough scene.
It was tough, but I don't think
Yeah.
it was unwarranted. And Jim's right. Well,
Yeah.
I do think like I it is tough because it is Jim, and I'm sure she was probably keeping it together because he's like a new captain. But like I think some people are acting like this has never been done before. Bobby for sure did this with both Buck and
Yeah.
Eddie at times. So it's not like Chim's being unfair. It's not being unfair. This puts him in a really tough spot. And if you want to be a good captain, you can't just make friends of everyone and be like, oh, she's my bestie. I'm just gonna like let this slide a little bit. He has to take the job seriously and be like, yeah, I gotta let you go. We all know this isn't gonna last like forever, obviously, knowing this show, but this has just gotta be how it is.
Here's my thing about it is that I don't necessarily think he was in wrong because he does have to do things and he's put in a difficult position and Hen did put him in a difficult position. The main thing is that I think the way he was acting, it felt like he let his emotions get the best of him towards the end of things. When he started pulling out like the Bobby comment, when he
Yeah.
started like being like, oh, you know what, you're right, why are you different? Like when he started doing that, it did feel like he was taking it quite personally.
Yeah, he went into
I
panic mode.
don't blame him. I'm just saying, like, I want to be clear. I don't blame him. I don't think he was necessarily in the wrong. I think this was a scene with heightened emotions, and I think he reacted strongly, but that doesn't mean I think he necessarily reacted wrong. Like, I don't know. We have seen for so long, like, people have gotten passes, a lot of passes at the 118. When Bobby was in the captain's chair, a lot of people have, one thing that comes to mind is Eddie in the fighting ring. He could have and probably should have been sacked for that, or at least benched, and he wasn't. And Buck was hired back, and he's been kept hired through some interesting stunts. There is examples be like, hey, you can, like, it doesn't have to be this way, even if it should maybe be this way on the technical side of things. I think this scene would have been very different if he didn't throw in the Bobby bit of things, because that just makes me think that he was letting some insecurity get to his head. I might be wrong on that. That's just kind of where I'm coming from on it. Again, it's nuanced, and this was also the last scene of the episode, so they were ending with a bang.
Yeah.
I just don't love it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it because I did kind of understand some of the things he was saying. It's hard for him, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah, this scene definitely, I mean, okay, it started out, him as a friend asking her how she's feeling, what's been going on. Then he starts saying, well, like Karen says, this has been something going on for a while. And then he did start to, I could see him reacting, not responding. He was definitely in that spot where he was panicking a little because he's just become captain of the 118 officially. He's already had, like, when Hen went to try and talk to him, had the table was covered in paperwork and he was in the middle of something, but he's like, as soon as I'm done with the sentence, anything for you. And then, like, so he's trying to maintain a friendship. And I think everybody in some way has experienced when you get promoted and you're no longer a coworker to your peers, you're a boss of. There's a balance of how do you balance your boss versus your friendship relationship. Legally, she can't just be fired for her health. But
Yeah.
she can be suspended pending a resolution or diagnosis. She could be put on light duty. There are a lot of things that could have been done at the beginning. She'd have been more open about it. And so I think on that end, he is right for saying she's done at the 118, but she's not done with the department. I will say that. But her current job as a firefighter paramedic cannot be done by her. So she has to basically, she's going to be on light duty. And, until they figure out what's wrong. And then if it comes to be something that is career ending, it will be a career ending job, thing for her. So, that legally, like, he can't just say she's fired because she's not. But yeah. So, and I know, like, we'll talk about this in the promo. This isn't over. Like, it's going to be dealt with later on. Like, things are going to be going on. But I'm glad that it finally came out to light because of her hiding it for so long. But because it was so long hidden, it's going to be harder to come back from some trust and some feelings of not trusting each other and all that stuff. So he's definitely not in the wrong, but I think, could have maybe said things a little differently. And he should never have. I know why he brought up Bobby was because he was trying to say, like, had we still been just coworkers, you wouldn't have had a problem saying something to Bobby about this. But because he's now her boss and friend, he knew why she wasn't. So, like, he never really should have brought up Bobby because Bobby's in the past, unfortunately. And Bobby's not captain anymore. And Shim has to answer to his superiors just like everyone else does.
Again, like I said, he reacted strongly, not necessarily wrong.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I have not seen the promo, so I'll be hearing one of you guys talk about it because when do I ever watch a promo? I just go into these things like, oh, well, anyway. I don't like these kinds of storylines. I've not been a fan of this storyline since it started. So I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I don't care. I do. I care about Hen. I care about 118. I care about that. But also at the same time, like, eh, it's
Yeah,
so needlessly dramatic.
yeah, it kind of like, not to say that puts a bad taste in my mouth, but I just don't understand some parts of like why we're doing this with Hen, because literally a season ago, just about we lost Bobby, and now we're doing this thing with Hen, which I'm like, I don't even think they know where they're going with it, but it's just like this is like mystery diagnosis pretty much, and it's just like I don't know if they're
I
gonna
used to
like,
watch that show. Is that
yeah, I
funny?
did too. I used to love
Yeah.
like that show.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? And I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna explore it through the next few episodes and then we're gonna kind of be more in the clear, but I also don't know if they know what they're doing. So, all in
I
all,
have no
it
idea.
was like a pretty solid episode. There are a few like wacky things in there, but I liked it.
Yeah, I did like the episode. It wasn't my favorite episode. I feel like even of the season so far, it probably is my least. But again, we're 7 episodes and we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
But I did like a fair amount of things about it. I thought it stood on its own pretty well. I think maybe I'm just kind of tired of some of the show. Not necessarily the show, just I'm just tired. So
Understandable.
there are so many ways things can be done that make more sense and still be dramatic and storytelling, and I don't understand.
Right.
Anyhow, all that aside, it's fine. I am looking forward to next week, but it is
Yeah, it was a
an
decent
episode.
episode. It was. Yeah, it wasn't, you know, it was an interesting one coming back from being on hiatus. I don't want to talk down to Hen's chronic illness that is coming up because it seems like something is chronically wrong, and I feel, and it seems like an invisible illness in the sense of like she's not bleeding or like showing major physical symptoms, or people would have picked up on it a long time ago. So
Mm.
in my chronic illness groups, we talk about it being an invisible illness, and which is always hard to not only diagnose, but for some people to believe. Well, for her, like she's struggling with something. She's afraid. She's not making clear decisions about what she should be doing. And maybe the reason why she's acting the way she is partially from whatever's going on with her. She's not thinking clearly. There's a lot of chronic illnesses that can cause you to have confusion and other things go on. So, I'm glad it's finally in the light, but I do, like Grace said, there's way more things that could be done to make it more dramatic and more realistic than the way they're kind of going about it right now. But we have
Yeah,
this is episode 7 and we have 18 episodes this year, so or this season. So it was an
still got a
episode. I mean,
while to
this
go.
yeah, so we've got quite a bit to go, and I mean, it's not like Aisha's not leaving the series.
Yeah,
Nothing's been
That we
said
know
about
of.
that. So, I'm like, and I don't think that they would eventually kill Hen off just because we just lost Bobby, and I don't think that they would do something
Yeah,
like that. So, I think now if Aisha chose to leave the series because of something going on in her life and wanted to, I can understand that, and we would support her for that. Um,
right.
but
Yeah.
I don't think that this is the direction. I think, but it may change the structure and the look of the 118 for now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think anything like permanent is
Yeah.
gonna happen with that, but also like you never know. I feel like people a lot of times will be like, well, this person's not leaving the show, so like XYZ. And I'm like, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Do I think that's happening in this situation? No. I'm just saying in general, you don't always know all the behind the
yeah,
scenes stuff.
yeah. We definitely don't. And like, keeping in mind that yes, Bobby was killed off last season. That is always difficult. But there is also the angle of this show has been around for 9 seasons. That is years of being committed to a particular um series. So like it's not impossible that Aisha maybe would want to move on to something else, but I do like we have not heard anything.
Right.
So we'll see. And also we have no idea, is this going to be resolved in a couple episodes or is this going to go through to the end of the season? Is this going to go through till next season? I somehow don't feel like it's really going to go through till next season because we are dealing with it and we still have 11 episodes left in the season. Like I feel
Yeah.
like it's not so much, but
I don't even
again,
feel like it will
who
go
knows?
into the end of the season just because I feel like that might be like too long of an arc to not know at
I feel like it'll
least.
probably be a couple of episodes that like you know we will have Chim and Hen make up sometime next episode, or maybe even suspend that with some dramatic emphasis or happenings to go into to the episode after that. And somewhere along the line, she's going to get her diagnosis because she's seen an actual doctor. And somewhere along the line, maybe Luna will also get shut down. Like those are my general
That
prediction. I
that
don't
that would be nice.
Right.
that would
Yeah.
be, but I feel like my max prediction that this is going to take up is like 4 episodes, like until episode like 12 or
I could see that
something.
happening.
Max. That is what I think. But we'll see. I'm either going to be wrong on everything or maybe get a whole big card.
Yeah, I feel like that always happens where they're very right or very wrong. Or it's like, oh, you got this right, but you got all of this way off.
I'm just glad to be back recording and kind of having consistency. And I know we'll have only a few episodes and then they'll be off for like the couple of weeks around the Olympics.
Yeah, I think we
I
have
Yeah, I forgot about that.
like 4 episodes after this one. And then I think it's after the February 5th episode is when they're off for like
couple weeks.
2 weeks. Like there'll be 2 weeks where we don't have an episode and then we'll be back.
I could see them going a couple more episodes and like as we go into that little brief hiatus, having some resolution maybe with that.
All right, so our promo. Jim tells Athena that Hen could have died because Athena's basically yelling at him and whatever. So Athena says how this house is supposed to be a family, and Jim tossed her out of it. And then, oh boy, AI is taking over the call center because we have an AI bot that's apparently at the call center. And I'm like, oh hell no. And Maddie says something about, oh, they're being
AI.
replaced by AI. And then we have this call. This guy cut his neck on broken glass. And the AI is like, oh, we need to cut off blood flow. And Maddie says how she was locked out of the call. And Josh says she thinks she's saving him. Maddie's like, no, she's gonna kill him. And Maddie calls Jim and tells him that Color is being strangled. And Jim is like, by who? And Maddie says Sarah, which is the AI bot's name. And
I know I don't like Sarah's. Sorry, Kenny. Sarah's listening. Sorry.
I feel that. And Eddie and Jim respond. At least I think that's who it is. It was very quick. And that's the end of that. And I'm just like, after the thing they got in Nashville where the lady was taking over the calls, why do we have to put AI in here?
Yeah, I don't
See,
like it.
I only want this to happen so that we can take Sarah and Hildy and plus them out of a plane into the middle of the ocean.
I would for sure take Hildy over Sarah any day.
I
Um,
absolutely would.
because
But
honestly, what if like the person that invented Hildy invented Sarah?
Oh God.
Hildy's gonna go rogue. Or maybe Hildy was the previous version of Sarah.
I mean, Hildy did kind of go rogue in that episode.
That is very true.
Regarding the promo, it's gonna be interesting, just to see what they do. I just had a thought, but I want to wait till we're done with the promo to say it because it's not really promo related. It's more about Hen. So if we're done with talking about the promo, I can totally say it.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say about that.
Okay. Yeah, not I hate AI. The other
Okay.
I just had a thought that what if what's been going on with Hen is suddenly because she went to outer space.
I had originally thought that, but then I thought about it and I was like, something would have came up one before that.
Okay, so yes, and I do remember us. I feel like we did talk about this before we went into watching Nashville and on our break. I feel like it came up during the episode originally.
Right, yeah.
And I agree that it would have come up long before then, but that doesn't mean it won't be that. Just saying, I wouldn't put it past 911 to be 3 years later and being like, actually, this is a long-term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past
Just
them
saying.
either. It doesn't really, like, logically in my brain, it doesn't make sense for it to because of space, but I'm like, 911 would totally be like they would totally bring this up and be like, yeah, it was because of the complications at space, but I'm also like, it would also make me even go further and be like, well, did anybody else that was up there have these same issues? Like, think about Lewis. He was in I who even knows where he is? He was in space long
Right.
term. What if he had like something wrong if they actually went with this thing? I don't even, like I said, I don't even think they know what they want to do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. Like again, it's not impossible. We'll see.
Right. Yeah. No,
Um,
I just had that thought, and I think for me it was more of a because I know sometimes like astronauts are often monitored after they return home and for months afterwards to see because some of them do end up having side effects, and that's why usually they're grounded and for any future missions. Is something came up in their physical. Usually, like you guys said, it's going to come up a little sooner, but I don't know. I just had that
I
thought.
also feel like they would have introduced that idea sooner if that's something they were going to go with.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I don't know. They died when
maybe.
my dad was sick, and there was at one point where we didn't know what it was. His doctor was like, "Yeah, it's this, and this of unknown significance." That was literally what the doctor said. He's like, "Yeah, there's this term that we use. It's called unknown significance when we don't know what it is."
I have heard
Hmm.
that term used before.
And I'm like, "Unknown?" And he goes, "Yeah, it means we don't have any reason, an idea why this is going on, but it's going on." He's like, "So we
Huh.
just treat the symptoms until we figure out what we can figure out." I'm like, "Okay." It was interesting. It was
Yeah.
it was it was a great conversation with my dad's doc, that's for sure.
So I am definitely interested to see next episode though. Like the promo looks, well, sounds interesting. Does sound interesting. I am like again, it is that interesting nuance of Hannah was in the was in the wrong, but also like she's struggling, she needs support, and she needs her family. So I am looking for. I'm hoping that Athena can help bridge the gap, him and the firehouse and Han and her
Yeah.
recovery. So I'm really looking forward to seeing because we love watching Athena whip people into shape.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I get Athena's point of view from the outsider, but I also understand that, like, Chim's point, it kind of reminded me, the storyline kind of reminded me when Buck had, like, the blood clots and, like, Bobby had to, like, he couldn't come
mm,
back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what this kind of is reminding me of.
yeah,
Well, the symptoms that she's
that is good point.
yeah, yeah, and the symptoms she's having are things that really she can't really work with them.
No, no.
If she tried to put
So
an
like,
IV into somebody and her
I was
hands are
just thinking
shaking,
this.
yeah,
yeah, no,
That's
would not
that's
be
no
good.
like,
good.
And
yeah.
thank God Eddie is a
Um,
former combat medic or has that experience, so he's at least
I
got.
know, I'm
I'm
interested what
glad.
they're gonna do there because it's like it's not like anybody else like has like some experience to fall back on, so I'm like
yeah, logically speaking, Eddie's flying solo.
yeah, and
Because like literally Buck and Ravi have EMT training because that goes along in the fire academy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
right.
They're not paramedics. And it takes a long time to become paramedic.
Right.
So
They might honestly just like use the engine at the time being.
maybe, yeah.
Or like they'll kind of act like they brought somebody in, or maybe they do bring somebody in. I don't know.
Again, it depends on how long they draw this out.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and the other thing too is like Chim is technically was the former paramedic on the ambulance. So it's not like because the captain, yes, the captain usually has a different role than just the firefighter paramedics, but he could step into that temporarily while
Yeah.
Ravi,
Mm.
Buck, and somebody else are on the engine, in that, depending on the situation. But I think Eddie is pretty skilled in what he knows and has enough experience to where the whole point of a paramedic and a EMT is to help get the patient stabilized enough to get him to the hospital. And I think Eddie is knowledgeable enough to do that. But yeah, I'm curious where they're going with that side of it.
So, I don't know. We'll find out what happens. It'll be interesting. I think I am I think I am also very separately excited about the AI thing because simply I hate AI and I want to see it get trashed.
Right.
Yeah, when it comes
So
to these scenarios, I hate AI. I mean, it's like when you're using it for certain things, I have no problem with it. But when it comes to like these type of scenarios, I'm like, absolutely not.
I hate AI in general because generative AI is still trained off of stolen work, and
Right.
scientific AI is sometimes it has its place, but like when it starts branching stuff like this, like you ultimately cannot replace humans. So yeah, I just overall I'm like, no, just fuck it. We're
Yeah.
not doing shit with things that say you need to cut off blood flow to the brain. That's stupid shit like
Right.
so yeah, we'll see how this goes. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast and check us out on YouTube. For more, visit 91lsroundup.com and follow us on socials at 91lsroundup. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And of course, come join us on our Discord. The link is down below and on the website.
You guys can follow me, Katie, at For the Love of Tarlos on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at Run and Rappa 911 on Instagram and Threads.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Threads. Chat with you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.